Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to be working on a Scrapbooking with Me boutique. The members room, well, the members room up until September 30th. After that, it will be combined into one Facebook page, but we have weekend challenges, and this week's challenge is, or was, this particular color scheme. So I've got three different distress inks. I have the Black Soot, Gather Twigs, and Candied Apple. And we're going to do two different basic designs as far as our background. So one is going to be horizontal, and one is going to be more for a vertical card. So I'm just using the makeup brushes to put down the color, and I'm using Bristol Smooth paper, which I'm telling you, if you guys have any trouble blending your distress oxides, get you some Bristol Smooth paper. You can get it at any of the big box stores. It really does make a difference, and I think it's because it has like a really smooth surface. So whatever they use to, I guess, coat it to finish it off, it allows for the blending of the colors to go in a nice, in a more easy way. Instead of, you don't have to work as hard to blend and get it to kind of, transitioned well. So I started with the candied apple, and then I did the gathered twigs, and then we're going to finish it off with the black soot. And I really like this one. It definitely has a fall feel. It has that, I guess it would be more like a warm feeling to me. So, like, even though I'm making this like a thank you card to a friend, you could change it and make it like a teacher card, for like a teacher appreciation. You can use these same color schemes. It would work for around Christmas. I know with the black, it's a little bit on the darker side, but you could just use the black as like your matte pieces, you know what I mean? So it's just some there, but it's not overpowering, because I think the brown with the red with like some gold foiling or gold embossing would be really pretty for a Christmas card. All right, so we're going to clean this part up. And I'm just spraying down a little bit of stamp cleaner. It helps clean off any areas on this glass mat. And this one, I'm going to do horizontal lines. And I'm going to change the order that I do the colors in. So instead of doing red, brown, and then black on this one, I decided to start off with the black soot. And then I'm going to do the candied apple. And then finish off with the gathered twigs. And let me tell you, it's very interesting trying to do it with one hand while I'm holding down my paper. Double-sided tape or that removable tape probably would work out really well here to help, hold things down and you not feel like, you have to keep your hands so steady. And my trick or my tip for you would be to make sure that you don't clean up your brushes too soon. Make sure you keep some of the ink on your brush, because you can keep blending until it gets to look, exactly how you want it. And you can also grab color off of your glass mat or your mat. Like if you're using your Tonic Studio mat, you can keep grabbing color off of that. And right before I closed up the candied apple, I put my brush through it once, so that way I would still have some color on it, because I knew I'm going to want to blend the twigs, the gathered twig, with the red as well. So I wanted to make sure I had enough ink on there that it would definitely help with the blending process. And you could see I'm rubbing some of the color off of the glass mat and then rubbing it in again to smooth that out. And then I just took the black brush to get my fingerprints off of the final project. And then we're going to set this to the side. Because just like on regular paper or whatever paper you normally use, the Distress Oxide inks always stay wet a little bit longer. So you definitely want to try and let it dry. Now, I'm using this chevron stencil. It's from not Echo Park, Carta Bella. And it's super thin, like where all those lines are. So my thought was, okay, this would be perfect to try the new Pixie spray from, is it iCraft? Who is this from? Yeah, iCraft. I think it's Crafter's Companion. And I was reading the directions because I wanted to make sure, I did it right. And I will say this. You're probably going to want to be in a well-ventilated area. And if you are in a room where, you don't have actual windows, but you have doors open and stuff like that, turn the fan on and get some of that stuff blowing out because you can see the dust. I was trying to be very light with it, and it needed more. Definitely needed more. So you're going to see here, it says let it dry for a minute, and then you can use it, on your projects. And I'm going to be using it with the stencils and this Nuvo Moonstone Glimmer Paste. This is going to use my palette knife, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And then you can see here, I'm going to kind of put it down on top of my ink blending and press it down. And it has some little tack to it, but felt like it was still kind of pulling up. And because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm just trying to test it to see, do I need to put some more of the spray on it? Turns out I did. So I'm just going to grab it. And this time I do spray a little bit more. I spray closer to it as well. And then when I stopped and I went and cleaned my stencil, it didn't take away all the tacky. So I think you're going to be okay. You can spray it as much as you want, get it nice and tacky for your projects, and then wash it. And some of the tack will still be there. So, for the next project, you can try and use it again. If not, then you would obviously spray it some more. And I'm just trying to find the one that I have that's already open because I don't want to have more than one open at a time. And my only sadness about this glimmer paste is that it doesn't come in a bigger container. I swear. Like Nuvo, if you're out there listening, I need you to make a bigger jar of just the Moonstone glimmer paste. Because I really like using it and using it in this way with the different stencils and the stuff like that. Now, I will tell you with the Distress Oxide inks, because they sit up on, they react with water and stuff like that. When you're using the glimmer paste, you can see on my palette knife, some of the color is coming off. So as I'm trying to scrape off the extra, I gotta just be mindful because I don't want to put that color back into the container. And then, did you see me drop it? Trying to be cute and be, gentle with it, and I dropped the whole thing down. I'm like, that is so crazy. So I'm just taking my little cloth and kind of wiping it up, the glitter that I dropped. And then on this one, I just really quick, it's not as intricate as the other, so I was able to just lay this one down and call it a day. And what's really interesting is when I did some of the other projects, the colors of the actual Distress inks shone through. And on this one, it was the strangest thing. When it finally dries, the black soot section kind of has like this iridescent, like greenish tint to it. And then the brown had more of a copper. It's really neat. But we're going to move on. So, for the sentiment, I decided to pull out the Stamp-A-Majig. I'd already stamped down and placed where I wanted, where the stamp was with my block. And once it's lined up, I can just press down and it lines up exactly where I've put it, on the focal image. And it works the same way with the sentiment. Once you have it lined up exactly where you want it, you're going to line up your jig, which is the green piece, over on the side. Once it's lined up, I'm going to ink up my sentiment. And then I'm going to move the plastic piece, trying really hard not to move anything so that when I press down, it goes exactly where I want it. And I'm telling you, for right now, the Stamp-A-Majig is a wonder for the foam stamps that you have that you don't want to try and figure it out with the MISTI. Do you know what I mean? But it would kind of work the same way. So on this particular one, I grabbed my clear embossing powder and I'm just sprinkling it over the stamped images. And I'm doing that on one and not both because I wanted you to see if you're using a pigment ink or, inks kind of like the Distress Oxides that stay wet a little bit longer, then you can do this with the clear embossing powder with your stamping, and it gives it like a little added dimension, a little bit of a shimmer, or not shimmer, a shine if you tilt it. And you can see how dull and like now is getting the bright black again on the words and on the apple. And then there's the shine I was trying to show you. And then we're just going to attach it to our matte piece of paper. Now, there is a little bit of warping, so if you're worried about that, you can use foam tape or something like that. Fun foam. I'm just going to tape it really good and use the art glitter glue. So that way I get a nice stick on the focal image. And I know I usually say it at least each video, but if you ever see me where I'm using the ATG tape and the art glitter glue, it is literally so that it gives me just a few seconds to where if I put something down wrong, I can pull it back up. Because a lot of times with score tape, ATG tape, you put down stuff and if you try to tear it apart to readjust it or move it around, you'll wind up messing up your project. So that's why I use both the tape and the glue. So now that that is all put together, I'm going to start getting my my bases and stuff ready. I'm just feeling the glitter backgrounds because they were feeling like they were still a little wet. But I figured I can at least start laying stuff or getting stuff together and then trimming these down, because once they were dry, I knew I was going to have to cut it down to 4 by 5.25. And so I didn't want to wind up smashing all that glitter into my cutting board. So I definitely needed to make sure it was nice and dry. So I'm just attaching it, the matte piece, to our card base, which is an A2 size card. And this one we're going to put a side opening. So you can see here the base, the fold part is over to the left, and then the opening edge is on the right. And then we're going to take this background and attach it to it. Now, using the Bristol Smooth, I didn't have a whole lot of warping either, because the Bristol Smooth is thicker than just your regular cardstock that you get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or, you know, places like that, like the 65-pound papers. It's a little bit thicker, so it can do stuff like this with the glitter paste and stuff like that, and have it not warp the whole thing. And then we're going to attach our image using the ATG tape and the glitter glue on this one. And I wanted to show you both ways, so that's why I'm doing both. So this one is going to lay flat, and the other one I'm going to use foam tape. And it looks like I put down a whole lot of glue, and I did on purpose because of the texture of the glimmer paste. I wanted to make sure that it was definitely sticking. And you'll see me in a little bit, I'm going to put one of my glass blocks on it with my lotion that I keep over to the side. I'm going to sit it on top to give it some weight so that it definitely presses in and holds. So now this one's going to be a top folding card. Once again, doing all the same steps, attaching the background to the actual mat that I've attached to the card base, which really is one of the easier ways to get everything lined up. And then once we get that on, I'm going to wind up looking for the foam tape to put underneath the sentiment, so that way there's a little bit of dimension. And I'm just grabbing my roll, and I'm going to cut the two longer pieces on the outside, and then what's left over I'm going to put right in the middle. And then I'm going to take the backing off just using the back of my scissors. And then I'm going to put glue again right on the foam, and then attach to our card. And I noticed that part of it was starting to bend up over on the other card. So that's why you can see I'm pressing down on with that one hand, and then this is where I put my lotion on top of the other one to make sure it stays flat. Okay. Just put a little bit of lotion on. Taking a quick little break. Alrighty. So at this point with the cards, you could leave them like this. You could, I mean, if you wanted to, you could add sequins. You could add all kinds of stuff. But I was thinking, you know what? Maybe I should do a little bit of coloring on the focal image. Not a whole lot. I didn't want it to be all time consuming. So I just was squeezing some of the color onto the lid, and I grabbed my clear glitter pen from Nuvo. And I'm just grabbing up some of that color and then coloring in the apple itself. And then I'm going to leave the little slice on the side alone. But the whole apple, and then the leaf, and a little bit underneath both pieces, I'm going to put some of the gather twig. Now, for whatever reason, it was super wet. I guess I squeezed it too hard when I grabbed the pen, but I'm just trying to layer on a little bit more color, and then you'll see we'll do the twig, like I said, on the leaf and underneath. And to clean off your glitter pen, you just brush it on a piece of paper, and eventually it'll go clear again. And at first, I really was, and you'll see towards the end, I wasn't going to color in the second one. But then at the last minute, I did decide to go ahead and color it and just make it a little bit lighter, so not as much of the color on the brush, so that way it wouldn't like stand out. And I'm just coloring that in and then setting it to the side. And I grab it back because I'm like, well, it's a little harsh. So I'm trying to like blend it down a little bit more so it's not so harsh. Oh, and then I'm going to take that off. And it looks like it secured better. So you have the two different options. And as I'm looking at it, and it's got a little bit of that glitter from the Nuvo pen, I'm like, you know what? Let's go ahead and color it. So you're going to see it colored in the final images coming up now. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And at the end, in the more section, really, I will have links to scrapbookingwithme.com and a link to the Facebook page. And then just keep in mind the members room, like I said, is going to be combining in with the regular Facebook page. They're going to have one instead of two because now all of the selling is done on the website. So I'll make sure to clear out the group one and have the correct group for you to sign up for down below. I know that's very confusing. But if you do go to scrapbookingwithme.com and purchase, you can use my coupon code, which is TT15. So that's TT15 to get an extra 15% off on anything that's not already on sale. So thank you guys once again for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great day.